And hello, welcome back to another Gridiron Survivor Meet the Team. We're here today with Richard. What's going on, Richard?
It's going well. Today's a
Going
Wednesday. I
well.
can't believe it's already a Wednesday. I'm like, wow, time is
It,
passing by.
yeah, it is, but it almost feels like it should be Friday already. I don't know.
I
I
wish
was
it was
just,
Friday.
yeah, dude. I was just talking to you. I'm like, I'm struggling this week, so like, I'm happy it's a short work week. It's one
Mhm.
of my 4-day work weeks. So
Hey, let's go. What
yeah,
what day do
dude.
you have off?
Friday.
Friday. Nice. You looking forward to
Yeah,
Thursday now?
dude. Always. Every other Friday I'm off. So,
Hmm.
um, the Thursday nights that I'm off, I tend to like stay up later and play video games with my friends. Be a little bit of a degenerate.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be a good time.
Hmm.
Real quick before we get going, I wanted to just let everyone know, remind everyone that Gridiron Survivor is sponsored. We have some wonderful sponsors. Um, and we're fortunate enough to because like I don't know, Shashi knows people, right? It's like that's really how I feel like it goes. Um, but no, we're sponsored by Appwrite, front end mentor, Get Kraken, use Pastel and Blog Recorder. Speaking of Appwrite, which we'll talk more about, I'm sure later, but I got my water bottle yesterday.
Whoa! Like I came in the mail. That is so cool.
Yeah, dude, it came in the mail. I'm like, yes. And I was, because before I won that, by the way,
Mhm.
Appright was giving this and a duffel bag away, and I think some clothing as well that I won.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show it off again for the people. Oh, yeah, look at that. Just
So
filled it up.
slick.
It's a camelback. It's one of those like
Yeah.
bite straws they call them, but I can't use it with the sore throat. Like it hurts to try to drink it that way. So,
Hmm.
but I was like gonna buy a water bottle because I kept buying like plastic water bottles at work and refilling them for a day or two. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't the best, and I'll just buy one of these. And then I won, and I was like, great. Now I'm just like anxiously awaiting my Apparate water bottle. So
Mm.
it
I
was
actually
pretty
got
cool.
this in the mail like a couple days ago because like I was so sad to depart with my green one because I'm like I've had the green one for so long. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's it's my baby, but like I'm like it's leaking, it's old. I gotta buy a new one. I'm like I have.
It's
I'm
time.
sorry. I'm sorry. It's time.
Exactly, dude. You know it happens, and I had an old orange Camelback one, so it
Mm.
just works out. This is basically replacing it.
Hmm.
We've got some people in chat. We've got Chris slash Daywalker. What's going on? Michael Aracco. We just had a conversation last night. He's over on LinkedIn. Ellie, Mika. Ellie's also on Twitch. Oh no, she's on Twitch. Okay, yeah. And Chris. What's going on, everyone?
Hi
Thank you for jumping
everyone.
in.
Oh, and the plant is from my mom, Ellie. That all the plants belong to my mom. She calls them her plant babies. I'm like, all right, it is what it is.
Dude, that's funny. I
I mean, like she raised her like, bro. I was honestly astonished. Like she grew her own jalapenos in her backyard with like the lettuce and everything for like
yeah.
2 years, and then like she stopped this year because like the squirrels started like picking
Mm-hmm.
it up. They're like, oh, delicious food in the area. They ate out that entire yard, and she's like, yeah, all that hard work gone. I'm just like, oh,
Dude, I know. It's funny because we have. I mean, my dad's definitely got like the green thumb. He's grown his own tomatoes and stuff in our backyard before. Uh, but we have deer by me, and they'll come. You have to be careful, like what plants you plant, like flowers and stuff, because they'll come along and just eat all your flowers. You're like,
yeah.
cool, they just bloomed and they're gone already.
Funny story, you actually mentioned flowers. My mom actually tried out flowers in our front yard. And 1 day later, they were gone. And we're just like,
Right? Like, what happened?
we don't know. We're like,
Yeah.
we genuinely
Now,
have no idea.
Daywalker's right. That's definitely one of your siblings. And I guess my old wallpaper was covered in your siblings. So
Hmm.
take that how you will. But I know, Chris. I know Daywalker misses the. So we all know they aren't plants. Yeah, yeah, I know. I don't do. I have a fake plant, and I've got my little Bulbasaur because it's the closest thing to a plant I'm gonna get.
Bulbasaur, one of the best
I
starters.
I
No
love
cap.
this thing. It's great. It brings me such joy.
I know that is such a cute Bulbasaur though.
And then we got the Funko Pop as well, but it's not as cute. But it's still
Oh
Bulbasaur,
yeah.
so I'll take it.
Honestly, controversial opinion coming. I'm not a huge fan of the Funko Pops. I'm like, they're
No, I'm
fine.
with you.
They're serviceable. I'm like,
They yeah, and they're overpriced in my
yeah.
opinion. Yeah. I'm with you, but I do have I think Squirtle as well and no, I have Yeah, I have the 3 starters, and then I was waiting
Mm.
for the Pikachu one to come back in stock, and then I just haven't done it because I don't have any shelving or anything behind me yet. So
Oh, you gotta have the without Pikachu just not complete. Like
yeah,
like.
exactly. Like it doesn't work. So I'll get that eventually, and I'll get everything going.
Mhm.
Roxy, what's going on?
Hey, Roxy.
But they sit on my little windowsill over here, which
Mm.
is it's things that spark joy, right? Like
Yeah.
it's those little things that we all have, like a new water bottle or little Bulbasaur figurines, you
Right.
know.
That reminds me of like a commercial I saw. I don't know what commercial it was. I think it was like Chinese or Japanese. And like there's this woman and she like, this sparks joy. This one
Yes.
doesn't spark
So
joy.
her name is Marie Kondo, and she had a series on Netflix about like, I think the idea was like not necessarily minimalism, but like decluttering and only holding on to things that
Mhm.
spark joy. And so that's kind of like what I think of all the time with it, because I'm very much like I'm not materialistic in the sense that like I want everything, but the things that I want, you know,
Mhm.
and whether it's like my Apple Studio display, which I definitely didn't need, but it was a want and it makes me happy, and now every day that I use it, I'm happy. Or my gaming monitor, you know, things like that. And unfortunately, I've said it before, I have a champagne taste on a beer budget,
Oh.
which just means like I like expensive things and I don't make the kind of money to like to buy those nice things. But you know, we buy what we can and enjoy those
Yeah.
things and everything like that. You know, yeah, like Ellie says, you know, buying water bottles and mugs definitely improves her mood.
Mhm.
100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. I used to buy so many art supplies. I had to cut myself off because like, dude, that entire drawer is full with nothing but art supplies. I'm just like, okay, I gotta stop. Someone needs to stop.
Dude, so okay, that was how I was with like pens. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I just like a good pen. And so like when I was younger in grade school, we'd be trading, me and a few friends or like a group of kids, we were like trade pens with each other. It was the weirdest thing.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean though. Like, I don't know why, but kids were so fascinated with pens and gums back in the day. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
the
oh,
same
gum
now
especially.
with like TikTok nowadays. Like, I'm sure like nowadays, like if you bring gum to school, no one's gonna care. And it's just like, oh, you have gum. Well, why not? We have TikTok. Like,
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, let's say shout out to Roxy's kids. Hi, Roxy's kids.
hi, Roxy's kids.
I'm hoping they're enjoying it. Yeah, the felt tip pens. I remember
Oh
the gel
yeah,
pens.
felt it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, those lasted for so long. Like now
Hmm.
I had to go out and buy one because like all my pens kept dying out. But like these actually last for so long still. I'm like, good value.
Yeah, exactly. It's I used to trade Littlest Pet Shops. I've never heard of that.
Are you talking about like Neopets or Pet Penguin or Club Penguin? I know there's
Club
Club Penguin.
Penguin was too. I was too old for that when it became popular.
I think I was like middle school. Yeah, so I was a little too old for that. But I know my sister like tried it out a little bit before.
Same. Same. Yeah. I so for the record, for I guess for reference, I am gonna be 33 in November. My sister is 5 years younger than me, so you know, it's just like all these things that, that come and go. Day Walker
Mhm.
saying I'm too old for all these things. Dude, it's so funny the things that just we remember as core memories as kids,
Mhm.
and then like, you know, you could be 5 years difference, and then it's just like, yeah, I was too old for that. I didn't, you know, whatever it was. But then you have something like SpongeBob SquarePants, which like I feel like it started with my age and then
Mm.
it just continued to go on. And now to this day we all use it for memes. It's great.
I know it's insane. Like that show lasted for so long. I'm like, it was honestly Simpsons at that point. I'm like, bro, just cut it off. Let's
Yeah, exactly right.
pull the
Yeah,
plug.
Simpsons. I mean, South Park's been going forever.
Oh my
Family
god.
Guy. Family Guy was canceled like twice, I think, and it's still around. So
I
like,
think so. And then Futurama got renewed. I'm like, oh,
thank God. Futurama was the best one. I don't care
mm.
what anyone says. Hot take. Best
No,
one.
I agree with you, man. Like I watched Futurama. I'm like, I'm not watching any of the other ones because like it's just like I mean, there's not every episode's a banger, but like it's It's like it has good quality overall.
And I feel like it was more story driven, like as of an
Hmm.
overall arc than any of the other shows.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like especially with Fry and Layla and everything like that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it was just one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, yeah. Honestly, for me, like growing up, TV shows it was more like Cartoon Network, like the 2000
Hmm.
shows, like Powerpuff
Yes.
Girls,
Yep.
Dexter's Laboratory, Samurai Jack.
Can't
I think
forget
I
Sailor
think
Moon.
Sailor Moon. Oh my God,
Oh,
yeah,
hands
Sailor
down,
Moon.
I would watch it before school started.
Mm.
CSI Miami. Okay, Mika, I watched every CSI there was. I was obsessed. Obsessed.
I've never heard of CSI Miami. Is that like a
What about
reality
CSI
show?
in general?
Oh, is that like a reality show or?
It's no, it was a like a science fiction show about
Mhm.
crime. So CSI was the
Oh.
what the crime something investigation crime scene
Mhm.
investigation unit or whatever. So it dealt a lot with forensics and things like that. But so it started with the mean one, which I think was based in like New York. No, Las
Oh.
Vegas maybe. But then they started branching off CSI into different big cities like Miami. There was
Mhm.
definitely New York one, things like that. David Caruso, yeah. I mean, there's the meme of the guy with the glasses, like Horatio Cane's got orange hair and black glasses, and he takes off his glasses. Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
just
think the
like
OG was Vegas. Yeah, yeah. Like Horatio Cane's the meme. It's great.
yeah.
Yeah, big CSI. I used to watch so much more TV, and then I went away to college, and I stopped.
Mhm. Isn't
Like,
it insane that nowadays like TV is not even a thing anymore? It's more like, oh, well, I'm gonna watch YouTube, and it's just like, wow, like commercials aren't even a
mm-hmm.
thing for kids anymore because they have ad blocker now. They don't even know the days where you have to like sit and watch the television and wait for the commercials to end. You're like, oh, commercial.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. But like now on YouTube, I can't not have YouTube Premium because the ads have gotten so bad. I'm spoiled. I like, I just can't not do it. So if you don't have YouTube Premium, and then you think about it, just know that you're gonna pay for it for the rest of your life. Like it's that drastic of a difference.
Yeah. Honestly,
Yeah.
like the ads are getting so intrusive these days. Like I feel like Twitch also has honestly Twitch has is worse because they're not skippable. And like that's my biggest
Right.
grievance with it. Like at least with YouTube you can skip it. Like you have a choice, but like Twitch is just like, nope, you just get ads. You have no choice. You have no sentience in this.
Yeah, yeah, and the interesting thing with Twitch is right, like anyone who has ads on does get paid for those ads.
Hmm.
Cool. That's why they're not skippable because you can't because no matter what the creator is getting paid. It's such a small amount of money though.
Hmm.
Like because and this is just me being transparent. Like I mean, I'm a Twitch affiliate, which is the lower rank of them. Like you
Hmm.
have to meet certain criteria, whatever. And I was thrilled to make it, right? But like I think so they pay you out every $50 that you accrue.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean like I'm making $50 a month. I think I've made a total of like 150 since February.
Okay.
But the ads is the most minuscule part. It's the subscriptions and Prime subscriptions that help pay those people. So like, but I don't know if I can run ads and have like be eligible for subscriptions. I'll have to look into that.
Hmm.
I will say the one thing that I do prefer with Twitch ads are the ones that shrink the screen and show the main content, but then show like a banner on the side or on the bottom of the video. I don't
I
know if
would
you've seen
I would
those.
agree, but like unfortunately, my screen is on the more smaller side, so what ends up happening is that sidebar ends up like collapsing with like all the extra stuff that Twitch and like there's no way to like remove it. So like I can barely see the chat. Like it's like this small. I'm like, what is this person
Oh,
saying?
that's rough. Okay, see, I don't like that. I'm spoiled with my larger screens, I guess.
You and all your bigger screens. I've got like a small screen. I'm just like,
Yeah, no, no. I've I have I don't want to say it's been spoiled, but I've chosen always to like have an external screen or like like I started didn't mean to hide that, but I do wish the good old days where you could use ad blocker on Twitch.
Mhm. I get it.
And
I get it.
yeah, yeah, but because I was gaming on my PC, I always had like a decent sized display,
Hmm.
you know. Hello, Roxy. All right, shall we kick this off, my friend?
Yes, let's
Okay,
go.
cool. So a lot of people already know who you are. You have been everywhere. I feel like lately you attended that conference in Wisconsin. You've been attending local meetups, which I know a New York one was just announced. Which I'm as long as I get over this illness, I'm going to be attending and
Fingers
everything.
crossed.
So fingers crossed because it would be great to get to this one. But tell us about your background and what got you into web development.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Richard, but well, you can call me Rich, and I come from a mostly customer service background. Like they're relatively customer service related, like retail, banking, more banking. And so I was kind of just looking around, job shopping. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. I was like, I don't really have like a passion, and I don't really like that. I want to take a step forward. I want to take that initiative to explore what I really want to do for the rest of my life. And so I took a step back during COVID. And I was like, okay, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? I'm like, well, I've always been interested in computers. Let's give that a shot. I'm like, all right, let's dive right in. So I unfortunately made the mistake of trying the traditional route first, and I went into online university for computer science degree, and oh my god, it's like 28 grand for curriculum only. No, no dormitory, just the curriculum. I'm like, hell no! I already have student debt. I already have to pay like $22,000. Pay. I'm like, no thank you. So I got out of that real fast, and I'm like, all right, it's time to go for the self-taught route. So I went on Reddit. I'm like, okay, what language should I learn? And everyone kept giving me all different kinds of answers, like C Sharp, C, C++, Java, Ruby on Rails. So I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna pick the one that I see the most replies with, and I'm gonna go with that. And I went on the classic mistake of most developers know it as tutorial hell. And unfortunately, I was on that for like a couple months, and I kind of stumbled my way into 100 devs. And I'm like, what? This is for free? There's no way. This is a scam. But everyone kept saying good things about it. So all right, let's give it a shot. Walked into it, and I fell in love with web development. I fell in love with coding. I fell in love with every aspect of it, from the learning to making mistakes to breaking it to experimenting it with building it, and then the community, and then that got reinvented. I can't think of the word, but basically I got reinvigorated
Mm-hmm.
by going to that conference, and that love just grew more. And yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think um, you stumbling into basically 100 devs is a
Mhm.
great way to sort of be reinvigorated into things. Um, excuse me.
Yeah.
The yeah, going the school route, I think, is no longer a thing. I don't think it should be a thing,
Mhm.
considering like I'm self-taught. You're self-taught. There's been people going to boot camps, which is an expedited learning process, and our experience with Gridiron Survivor, like, even if it goes to shows that people that did go to boot camps, for example, still don't have those skills that make them job ready. Like, they have a different experience and education than self-taught, but there's still those missing pieces, right?
Absolutely.
And it seems like people that are getting degrees don't have those pieces, and I think this is a problem due to the bar, um, the bar continually being raised since like 2018, 2019, and then COVID hit and all hell broke loose.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I gotta say, this caught me off guard, Ellie. I'm like fighting strep or very sore throat, and so like my whole throat's swollen. So now anytime I say that, it's like even more coming out. So coffee, and because I'm telling you. But yeah, so it's I think a big factor that, or a big thing that things like 100 devs with Leon exists, right?
Mhm.
Free code camp, obviously, and we've talked about that with others, where it's this such a great resource for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with degrees, the thing that it does well, because I do want to give credit where credit is due, is the theory aspect of it. And this applies to a lot of degrees. I can't speak for like nursing or business, but for English degree, I would say it's mostly theory. Like a lot of people think of English degree and they're like, oh, you're good at grammar, you're good at spelling. No, no. They focus more on the theory. They mostly focus on, hey, can you cite this and can you integrate this in a way that sounds correct, and can you convince me that your perspective is correct? It's a
Hmm.
lot more of that theory and like a lot more of that analytical aspect of it. And I feel like that also applies to coding. Like I've talked to a lot of people who are computer science degree majors or who have graduated CS degree or with CS degree majors, and like they talk about like how they don't have certain aspects, like you mentioned. Like for
Yes.
example, a really good example of this is portfolios. Like I talked to this one CS student, and he's like, yeah, everyone in my class, not a single person has a portfolio. I'm like, Wow, that is shocking. Like that is it's not even that
Yes.
hard to make. It's like you just grab a template, HTML, CSS, boom, you're done.
Yeah. And dude, that amazes me too. I remember I think that they're becoming more popular now, but there's so many
Hmm.
people that you see developers and they don't have a portfolio and you're like, why? I mean, like, I could see it being maybe harder to display if you're back end, but that's where you can write like your use cases and things that you did because there's no visual aspect to it.
Hmm.
But like you said, you could just grab a template and go and then spend your time building. And this is something that I've fought with a lot on portfolios. Coming from a front end space, I take pride in my portfolio. So I have always built mine from the ground up. I've never used a
Hmm.
template. I designed mine, whatsoever, what all that jazz. If you're not a designer, don't do it. But instead, like I think what I'm getting at is like a lot of people will say a portfolio is not a project to feature, and I'm like, dude, my portfolio is the project. Like, like this, and I don't know why it's seen that way, and I
Hmm.
wish I could get a real answer, but I have yet to. Um, which is unfortunate, but for me, my portfolio was like a sandbox for me to experiment with.
Yeah.
I learned Astro and Tailwind with my portfolio and integrating a CMS, right? Like that was
Hmm.
new stuff. And when I'm in the middle of reworking my portfolio, I'm learning new things along the way.
Yeah.
And that's my playground for it. It's fun.
Hmm.
But I can't believe it. Actually, and something else, I attended a meetup and a boot camp grad featured a project or showed off a project.
Hmm.
And I can't believe that like it was ready, like that was the finished project. It just
Oh.
because it looked so raw, like it was functional,
Hmm.
but it didn't look good. And like
Oh.
I don't know, man. Like
I think I
I
know what you
understand.
mean.
Like if that's not your focus, that's one thing. But
Hmm.
but in my opinion, a lot of boot camps were pumping out, and again, I can't speak to it how it is now, and I can only speak to this one person. Oh, Mike's in the chat. Yeah, Mike is exactly one of those that was like, your portfolio is not a project, but I will push back on that regardless. But for a lot of people, I think it makes sense. The rules for thee and not for me. Um, but these boot camps are pushing out full stack developers who like can't even design something to look halfway decent. And not
Hmm.
every and front end engineers don't have to be designers, but I think like being comfortable with CSS and being able to make something that looks halfway decent is a skill in itself.
Yeah. I think like the thing is that like backend engineers always say like, oh, I don't want to touch CSS because it's like I just don't like it. I'm like, okay, that makes sense, but like I hope you understand that you're disservicing yourself by not having at least aesthetically good looking website, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
just there's so many templates out there for you like that are free.
Yes.
Emphasis on the free part, like you could just grab it and you can just build out the back end. Like when you're applying for a job, they know like, hey, you're a back end developer. So they're not looking for, oh, so you didn't add accessibility here. You don't have SEO, you don't have this. Like your website doesn't zoom in, doesn't zoom out well.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not looking for that. They're just looking for, hey, does your back end work well? And aesthetically wise, that's more just for the recruiters, like, oh, hey, your website looks nice,
Right.
instead of like, what is this?
Right. But at the same time, like, are you going to go spend more time on a website that looks like not put together, or are you going to spend your time on a site that maybe is like at least pleasing to the eye? It grabs your
Mm-hmm.
attention some way, somehow, or for the good reason, for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Alex says, here's stories on LinkedIn how bootcamp devs sound like robots in interviews. They're all taught the exact same. Yes, I'm seeing it. Mike agrees. They're seeing it. It's a problem, and I don't know if it's partially because boot camps aren't an enemy. Like again, I think it's great to have an alternate route that's not a degree and it's not self-taught. Like my reason for wanting to go back to school or go to a boot camp was for that structure.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's so many options, like you said, like what do I start with? What do I learn? A boot camp provides you that structure. But
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
if you're just pumping out pseudo developers that can't do a full job and you're telling them like, oh yeah, you'll get a job after this, like that's just false advertising. And that's not doing anyone a service. That's doing the industry a disservice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then, like I'm not gonna say I'm better or worse than any boot camp dev or anyone, But in a place where like now I am in Greater and Survivor, trying to bridge that gap between not having a job and having a job to de-risk myself to the employer,
Hmm.
you and I are fighting amongst engineers that don't have a clue, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, and it's a numbers game, and I don't know, like we can go on and on about this, and it just,
Hmm.
I don't think there's a good solution, but I think looking for the best alternate route you can go is like do your research, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah,
I think for
yeah.
boot camps it's tricky because like there was someone, I think it was Leon or someone else who talked, or Danny, I think it was Danny Thompson, who was talking about like how he was astonished how people will spend thousands of money just to learn code. That's a skill that you can learn for free on YouTube or using just the documentation, or like there's free courses online like free code camp and 100 devs. And honestly, at first I was like, yeah, it kind of astonishes me too. But like
Mm,
I have talked to a lot of people, and like the people, individuals who prefer to pay for it, they were like, yeah, I need that extra push, that extra like motivation to like,
yes.
I don't want to put that money to waste. And like in a sense, I kind of understand that perspective, but like in reality, I'm just thinking to myself like, I feel like you're just disservicing yourself though, because at the end of the day, the bootcamp you're paying for is literally just that. You're literally just learning how to code. And that's literally something that you're going to have to do anyways on your own.
Yes,
And the bootcamp
yes.
doesn't really do that. Like, I feel like I've never taken an actual bootcamp, like a paid bootcamp, but I assume that do the they don't really focus on your self-learning aspect of it, your
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
dependency as a developer, and being able to like, hey, I don't know what this is. Let me look at the docs and figure this out. Versus like, hey, I need to look at this tutorial and I need to over rely on this tutorial to understand what this is happening.
Yeah, 100%. And I think learning how to learn is such an important skill, and it's something that is criminally underrated in at least the U.S. school system, which I could definitely speak to. It's criminally underrated in the U.S. college system. The only place that I learned it was music school,
Hmm.
because guess what? As a musician, you are spending hours and hours upon your week in a practice room practicing and learning your music and scales and techniques and everything like that.
Hmm.
That's the only time it ever came up, was learning, and even that didn't come up until like my third or fourth year into going to school for music education and performance. So like
Hmm.
there's a disconnect here. Like we can't always just rely on teachers to be able to show us the way or tell us what to do and things like that. And like you said, it's such a core skill, learning on your own as a developer. It needs to be focused more on.
Hmm. And I think like going back to what you said about having that structure, I think it's great to have that instructor, that mentor to guide you along the way. And I think that's what it is necessary to a certain extent, like having that mentor to guide someone in the beginning journeys or like onboarding onto a new team. Like you need that senior engineer to kind of not necessarily hold your hand per se, but kind of guide you towards the right direction and like help you build up your problem solving skills so that when you're working on the ticket on your own and you submit it for PR review, there's a lot less back and forth, and you're able to be more a part of a team and feel more like, oh yeah, you belong here. Like you're a part of this
Hmm.
team. You are a developer in this company.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is so crucial, and it just makes sense, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Like that's the only thing I keep coming back to in my head is like it just makes sense to be self-dependent in that way to learn everything.
I'm sorry, but Mike's comment.
Here you go, Mike. There it is. I'm streaming this through Restream and not OBS, so this is there you go. That's it. You know what, Mike? I even got this for you. Hold on.
Oh, we got a fancy something.
Nope.
Oh,
Mike Chen. Hold on, just for him.
okay. I'm anticipating it now.
I appreciate it. Daywalker, you do not want me to do a little dance for every single subscriber.
I mean, fun fact, actually, I was a K-pop act leader for 2 years, and I was a part of a
What,
K-pop dance for 4 years. So
dude? It's so fun. See, we're learning things already.
yeah,
Learning a lot, which is great. This is why I like these so much. Diving more into the people behind, or that I've been working with since February, right?
yeah.
Ooh, that was a mistake, dude. Because now Ellie wants to see the dance.
I'm actually wearing headphones with wire, unfortunately, so I don't know if that will work.
Well, I heard that you'll be a guest on Tech Commute season 5 if you do the dance.
I mean, honestly, like it's been how many years now? 6 years since I've danced. I honestly forget a lot of them, because like, I mean, there are times where like the song comes on and like as a musician, like the beat kind of like your muscle memory kind of like jumps into it, and
Hmm.
you're like, I think I know what this is, but like I don't know the exact thing what I'm doing.
Yeah, that was me with marching band
Yeah.
and learning the routines and being sure, like, okay, which way do I move? How fast do I move there? Things like that. Or just counting the rest. I play viola.
Hmm.
That was my primary instrument. For those of you that don't know, viola is a slightly larger violin, but it just gets shit on. Like, it's I love it so much. It's better sounding in my opinion. It was the original compared to the viol is where the whole string family came from. There were different
Hmm.
kinds of viols and that had different ranges, and then they become the modern day violin, viola, cello, and bass. Anyway, there's a lot of rests. Like, you're just sitting there waiting to play. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was the same thing, like remembering where in the music you actually had to start paying attention,
Hmm.
right?
Honestly, I thought violas were so cool when I was in the orchestra. I still have like my violin in my basement. I'm like, I genuinely thought we threw it away, but then like I was in my basement one day like cleaning things up, and I'm like, what is that? That's my violin from my elementary school. I'm like, oh my god, my mom didn't throw this away. I'm
Yeah,
so
dude.
surprised.
Yeah, I mean, like, Roxy's got ads, god damn it. Prime, what's it called? Prime sub, Twitch
Prime
sub.
sub, Twitch sub. Gotta get the ad. Gotta get the premium account, right?
Yeah, yeah. Again, like that's the one thing I don't like. But again, I think if like I want to be eligible for the subscriptions, in which case, like,
Mm,
oh, I had to run ads. I think. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, it's not like something where you can be like, hey, don't do it, run ads. It's like, nope, it's just part of the system, right? It's like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
are you gonna do?
And yeah, exactly. But it's funny. I don't know if you've seen this streamer Pirate Software. He's like
No.
blown up over the last 6 months.
Hmm.
Um, and so he typically, like, whatever he's doing on stream and or serious conversations, he'll wait until ads are over. But he's
Hmm.
got like a giant Jeff Bezos face come out from the left side of the screen. It's really funny.
And it slowly pans away from the camera as the ad.
Nope, it just stays there the entire
Okay.
time, and then retreats after the ads.
Oh, nice.
I love it. Yeah, Elder and Daywalker. Yeah, Thor is his name. He's great dude. Like, wholesome.
Hmm.
Loves what he's doing for the community. He's awesome.
Oh, is it actually spelled Thor, like Thor of God of Thunder?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I think that's technically his middle name.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. You should look him up. Pirate Software on YouTube or Twitch is great. He has like tons of shorts and super like. What I actually really value with Pirate Software is that
Hmm.
he makes a lot of, I don't want to say feel good, but more like motivational shorts.
Hmm.
And he's like, because he's a game developer, and he's like, just go do it. Like, just start. Just
Hmm.
begin. Make your own thing. It's gonna suck. That's okay. Go try again.
Hmm.
Um, and that is, I think, more of what we need. So he's like, you could be doom scrolling and seeing, and then come upon my motivational thing. My goal is for you to stop doom scrolling and go do what you should be doing. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. Honestly, that's great. I think, like, yeah, like you said, I think Twitch definitely needs more of those more positive thinkers rather than focusing on drama or whatever they
Mm-hmm.
talk about these days. I'm gonna make a small confession here. I'm actually not the biggest fan of streams. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
it's my friends, then I don't mind watching it. But like, if it's anyone else, I'm like, if I'm watching a stream, I know in my back of my head, I'm like, if I refresh, if I walk away, or if I'm not paying attention, I'm unable to go back and re-listen to what happened, and now I'm behind for the live chat, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm the type of person that likes to finish something from finish to complete in some fashion.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That is where streams are tough. I think where they have their beauty is that you can jump in when you're available and jump out when you're not.
Hmm.
But it is tough when you say, "Hey, I want to watch this," and that's why YouTube is nice, right? Like I'll give myself an hour to watch YouTube or whatever, and I just okay after that, like that's it. I had to go about doing the rest of my stuff.
Yeah.
Mike brings a quote of Thor's from Adventure Time. Dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something, and that's exactly right. I love
Hmm.
it. Yep.
Honestly, so this is another confession. I have never watched Adventure Time.
Nor have I. It's fine.
I thought I know like references and I know like what it looks like and I've heard like people talk about it, but I was like, I'm not really that interested. I don't know. Like,
Yep. Yep. I feel you. Grug brain dev. Yep, makes a good point as well. It's good for a second monitor and background focus.
mhm.
Not a bad thing either. I kind of want to get my second monitor up and running. It would be nice even for like watching. There's endurance races over the weekend, and I just can't watch them because I have one display.
Yeah.
So like it'd be nice to have that going on in the background. We're gonna come on back to a question from Mike. He's trying to steer us back on track. I see. What was your most challenging task when joining a team for the first time? Was it testing, Git, meetings, working with others?
If I have to choose the one most challenging aspect of joining a team, I would say this is from a remote perspective. I don't know. I haven't had the experience working in a team like in person, but definitely feeling like you're part of the team in the sense of like, hey, I know you guys, because
Mm,
it can be tough. Because like I feel like with Gridiron Survivor, it's a little easier for me to like be like, hey, I know Ryan, I know Jason, I know Mai, I know Jen. Like it's a lot easier for me to feel like I'm a part of the team and I feel like I'm part of the group. But with Appwrite, it was really, it felt a little different in terms of the atmosphere because like when I
mm.
step in, I'm thinking in my head like, oh, these, I don't. It kind of felt like the members were a bit far, even though they were so close to me online. And I think it was like that sense of that there was also the time difference problem, which also kind of affected it because like I'm like, oh, I want to message this person, but like they're in India and they're probably asleep at this point. So there was
Yeah,
also
yeah.
that dissonance as well, and a lot of the Upright members are on the other side of the world, so it was a bit difficult to connect as well. And like
It
also
was
I didn't.
like
Hmm, go
it
ahead.
was like asynchronous to the next level, right?
Right, right,
Right.
exactly. And like also like there were some people who where English wasn't their first language, and that was my first time working in a team where there were some people where English wasn't their first language. Like I've talked to people where English wasn't their first language and it was fine, but I've never
Mm.
really worked with someone in a
Mm-hmm.
professional setting where that was the case. And like I found that a lot more challenging, especially in a text only or text majority environment. And like it was pretty difficult to like not only incorporate myself but also reach out to people and feel like, oh, I can reach out to this person. It was more like I don't want to bother this person because I already know that this person's probably off the clock. But if I do message them, they'll see that notification, and it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think, my current company, most of us are on the East Coast, but we do have people throughout the US. And actually, for a time, I was working exclusively with a supplier on the West Coast. And so, I'm up in the morning, starting at work at 7 a.m., which is 4 a.m. their time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not hearing from them for at least 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Um, and so, like, it's challenging, and even with gridiron we all have our different availabilities, and so I'm of the mind of like, hey, I'm gonna message this person and they can respond when they see it.
Mm-hmm.
um we have the Discord and things like that for the more uh what's the word I'm looking for, like the real time collaboration. But hey, if that real time collaboration doesn't work for Richard's schedule or my schedule or whatever, like I mute LGT when I'm not working, because I know if I do open it up, I'll look to jump back on. And those are
Mhm.
boundaries like I'm trying to place for myself for no other reason, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I could definitely see that. I would imagine like I think in your case, like just message them, and if they want to, they could be like, "Hey, that's cool. Like, just don't message me again
Mhm.
after work hours
Yeah.
or after my work hours." But that's where like tools like Teams or Discord or whatever you're using allows you to control when your notifications come in or not too. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it was tricky because like working there was multiple forms of communication, and like there was Discord, there was linear, there was
Mm,
the Discord, there was several different kinds of channels like collaborations, and then there was a whole different channel for synchronous, and then there was also GitHub, and then there was also email. So like it was tough knowing what to prioritize for what conversations, because like
mm-hmm.
I was talking to my team lead, I'm like, hey, what media of communication do I use for particular conversations? And they're like, oh, okay, so this is what you would do. I'm like, okay, let me follow that. I did follow that, and no one would respond. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm choosing Discord now. But then it's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I see that, and it's funny you mentioned linear because that I love linear as a software,
Mhm.
um, and it almost seems like the idea is to take the conversation out of GitHub
Yeah.
because not only does it sync with GitHub, but you can then make your own team like issues and priorities in linear, right? Like you can use that as management for your team as well.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
some of those things that you do in linear don't sync up with GitHub.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like that's a disconnect, like you said. Discord, you can build out different tools to sort of connect to different APIs and stuff, but it's still that friction there and everything.
Right. Right.
So that's an interesting thing, and I would imagine Appwrite's not alone in that.
No, I don't think so. I feel like
Yeah.
communication, like, it's always tough, especially if you're remote only, and like if you're a
Hmm.
global team, like there's going to be challenges there.
Yeah, yeah, and that kind of comes with the territory, I think. Do you think you would look to go for another remote only role, or would you prefer, if it is remote only, would you prefer, U.S. only, or do you think you're going to look for something to be in the office?
Hmm. I think I don't mind the environment because like as much as I complained about it, it wasn't really that bad. Like I think looking back at it, if I were to redo everything again, like I definitely would have taken more initiative because now I'm more comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like all right, if you respond, you respond. If you don't, then whatever. But like I think yeah, like Roxy mentioned, I would honestly prefer hybrid over everything else, just because like for me, I really do enjoy talking to people in person. Like I
Mm.
think going to that conference really emphasized that, and that's something new I've discovered in myself is that like I'm a people person, and honestly, I don't know if I'm introvert or extrovert anymore because of that.
You
But like
couldn't be an ambivert. That's
I
the
could be
kind of the
ambivert.
mixture of both, you
That's
know?
true. That's true. But like, yeah, I honestly love meeting people. I mean, you've seen it all online. I've been doing coffee chats like constantly, and I've been just
Yep.
having such a blast. And if it were in person, and I'm actually going to the New York Coding Coffee like you mentioned, and then actually next week I'm planning on going to Flutter conference. So
Are you? Oh my
yeah,
God. Good for you. I'm
yeah, I'm
glad you're
looking
able to
forward
do
to it.
that. That's sick.
Yeah, it's actually in New York.
Very nice. Yeah, I think I saw that and I just can't. My job is so inflexible lately. Like, I can't commit to anything, which really makes life harder.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
to
I
try to
feel
do
it.
anything that requires me to be there on work days and stuff like that, just
Hmm.
also like limited time off means I have to be choosy with what I do or be selective. And then if I could work remotely, that's one thing. And then like I work 1 day a week from home, but
Hmm.
that even is like holding on by just the tiniest bit, I feel like.
Yeah.
But so, for example, like I really, really, really want to go to All Things Open in Raleigh, North Carolina this year at the end of October.
Woo!
I would love to, but me going depends on my job being flexible so I can
Mm,
work on my way down there and work on my way back up.
right.
And part of that is just because I don't have a lot of PTO there. Like,
Mhm.
it sucks.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that's why you're working so hard to get a job, right, in tech, so you can be more flexible and you can have you can be able to go to conferences like that or All Things Open or
Yeah,
even a Flutter conference that's nearby just because you want to meet some people.
exactly. Like having a job that would support that, I think would be amazing.
Hmm.
We have Wally chiming. I want to just throw Devon's on X chat doesn't really like work well with this.
Yeah.
So Devon saying hello. Wally is saying after working remote and now being back in the office, hybrid is the way to go. Yeah, definitely agree. I think
Hi, Devon.
Grug makes a good point. If you don't have a healthy social life outside of work, then fully remote might become lonely. I can see
Yeah.
that as well. I think, like for me, most of my relationships, especially now, are online. I mean, like from my WoW playing days to just all the discords with all my various developer friends or Twitter, whatever it is. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I
Hmm.
think, and not to mention, I guess I live in the same house as my twin brothers, so like that's
Yeah.
fine. So, um,
Yeah, it's
let's.
definitely good to have that balance of healthiness because like when I started transitioning into tech, like I definitely felt like that loneliness. So what I ended up doing was I started walking outside and like if I ended up meeting someone, I would just start like a surface level conversation, but like that would just be like my quota of talking.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm very much an introvert.
Hmm.
So actually, we'll get back to Maria's question in a second. So, just because you raised a good point, um, I'm trying to remember where I read it, but there's this thinking of like people that take your sap you of energy and people that sort of like build your energy reserves. And so for
Yeah.
me, there's so many times in my life because I'm an introvert where I go to this family function or this party or whatever, and I'm just like I need to recharge my social battery.
Hmm.
And there's certain people that I hang out with where that's simply not the case. And it
Hmm.
took me for such a long time for myself to realize like why that might be and who those people are. In even that conference, it took like to the very last day for me to be like, okay, my social battery is drained. Like I'm shot and need to recharge. But because I was up late, I was
Right.
up early, I was, networking nonstop. And I think conferences do that to people, but like in the best way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. I
Yeah.
definitely had to take these like time slots away from everyone else during that
Mm-hmm.
conference because like
Yep.
taking that rest is so important.
Yep.
You need to recharge like no matter who you are. I don't care how extroverted you are. You need to like be like, okay, I need to take a step back and I need to recharge just a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I I'm sure the Wisconsin one had the same thing, but like, I could just go outside on a patio and like get some fresh air and just like be by myself for 5 minutes at a time, and that was really really good. And
Mhm.
and it's funny, and I'm sure you experienced the same thing. Most people I met at that were like, "Yeah, I'm an introvert," but like here we all are
Yeah.
chatting it up and doing all that. And I think that's partially because of the energy. It's also what Clark has put into that conference, and everything. But I'm also excited even for Render next year. The I'm blinking on his name right now, but the like main organizer is like, hey, we're gonna have rooms just for you to decompress.
Nice.
Like, there's gonna be no music. The lights are gonna be more dim. You could just sit down by yourself and like, whatever it is. I'm like, that's
Mhm.
gonna be clutch. Like,
I don't have to walk back to or Uber back to my hotel. Oh,
yes,
Christ.
yes, yes, yeah. I was like, that's a fantastic move. It's great. Um, I'm gonna jump into Mariah's. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. If you could give advice to your younger self just starting out in the field and working in a company, what would it be? Well, Richard, you can talk more to this than I can since you've interned at Appwrite. Go ahead. Give like the
Oh,
top two or three things you tell yourself.
ask questions, look at the source code, and talk to as many people as possible. So I'm going to expand a little bit on each of those. So asking questions. So this one was a little tricky for me because like at first you're thinking, oh, I just ask questions. Okay. But then what I found out really fast was that I didn't know what questions to ask because I didn't know what I didn't know yet. It's kind of like math class where like the teacher's like, "Oh, this is how you do it," and you're like, "I want to ask a question because I'm confused, but I have no idea what I'm confused about, so I have no idea what question to ask you." And I think that was a skill I had to pick up really fast. And unfortunately, I picked it up a little too slow. And I think looking back at it now, I definitely would tell myself like, hey, this is how I would approach it. And like thinking about those edge cases and thinking about like, okay, so if I'm writing this, I'm working on this ticket, like what aspects of this ticket would I consider like could potentially be covered throughout this, so that way when I submit this for PR review, there won't be as much feedback like, hey, you should probably consider adding this, or you should probably consider adding that. It's like considering those edge cases. So that's the first one. The second one is just looking into source code. I definitely was intimidated by that source code, to be honest, and I regret that I didn't take the time to actually look at the code itself and like really dig into like understand what was happening, because I think it was like week 3, 4, 5-ish. I had to work on this task that required me to use the STK generator for Appwrite, and I had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, I have no idea how this works. I was looking at the contributing guide, I was looking at the README. I'm like, I am so stuck. And I had to go on like 3 separate calls for that. Like I went on call with Luke, I went on call with Steven, I went on call with Vincent, and like at that point, I'm like, okay, I think I kind of understand on a surface level, and so like that's definitely something I would go back to my younger self and be like, hey, this is probably something you should look at earlier, because this is something you're probably going to have to work on. And then the third and final thing is just reaching out to people. That was a big regret I had leaving Appwrite, is that I didn't reach out to enough people. And I think it's going back to that point of just being afraid of reaching out to them and like bothering them because they're so busy with like all the list tasks. Because I was physically seeing the amount of things that they were doing and like the amount of stuff that they were doing, and I felt so bad reaching out to them. And like I think that was the biggest difference between Gridiron Survivor and Appwrite, is that like for like you, Jason, Chris, and Mai and Jen, who have jobs outside of Gridiron Survivor, and anyone else I might have missed, like Karina, I don't really physically see what you guys are doing. Like you guys talk about what you guys do at work, but like I don't really physically see like the actual hard work that you guys do. And I feel like because of that, it's easier for me to reach out to you guys, because I don't have the context of that guilt to reach out to you guys. And I'm not saying that like you guys don't work hard at your jobs. You guys obviously work very, very hard at your jobs, but like, you know what I mean? Like physically seeing the actual work you're doing, like I'm filled with that actual dread of reaching out to you, because I'm like, oh crap, you're working on all this crap. Like I don't want to add more to your plate. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I could definitely see where you're coming from there. I think that, like you said, don't be afraid of it. And realistically, like, let's face it, those people are, if they don't have the time, they will probably tell you. And so you shouldn't be afraid of that. And also, like, you did have your certain go-tos. Like, Steven was, I think, your person, right?
My go-to.
Who, by the way, what a gem. He's a great dude. Great person. But so, like, you know, I don't, and actually, I want to jump to Chris's thing, but Grug here makes a good thing. Like, ask who do you think I should talk to? There's one or two people in a company who are either highly connected to the company or have a lot of knowledge. I definitely agree with that, because there's something I feel like there's a better term for it, but it's something I've been calling tribal knowledge at my job. I work at a company where I'm still on the younger side at 33 years old, and so there's a lot of people that work at my job or our suppliers that have this, you know, they've been there for 30, 40 years, and they just have this knowledge baked into their head, but then once they leave, no one else knows it. Right? And then, so let's say, like, we were buying this part from this company A for 30 years without a problem, then the 31st year, it's not the same. Like, and that's because that tribal knowledge that one person had. So I think it's a good idea to maybe talk to a bunch of people who are knowledgeable. But yeah, asking who to talk to is probably a really good solution to that as well.
Right. I think that's definitely something I should have done. Like in the beginning, I kind of did that with my first big task, but then I kind of fell off on the wayside. I have no idea why, but I think I was just like way too focused and way too hyper focused on my own tasks. I'm like, oh, documentation. The only person I can ask is Steven. And I feel like I
Hmm.
could have asked more people in the team. Like I could have asked Tessa, who's in DevRel, or I could have talked to Laura, who's in growth, or I could have talked to Sarah, who's design, right? So.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Mike says, I always tell junior engineers that you can take either 30 minutes of question asking early on when working, or we can take 4 hours when you're done to fix your misunderstandings.
Mm,
Yes,
yes.
that is incredibly powerful, I think. Take the 30 minutes ahead of time, ask every single question you can think of, and I'm sure you'll have more throughout it, but it's not going
Mm,
to equal to 4 hours at the end. And that
right.
goes into what you were saying, Richard, about, you know, basically having your PRs extremely prepared. I know you've mentioned it to Gridiron as well, of like, don't go in there, don't submit a PR for review unless you're 100% certain that you hit everything that you could think of.
Hmm.
Chances are someone else will find something that needs fixing or whatever,
Right.
but at least you went in there doing everything rather than the bare minimum to get it going.
Right. Exactly. It's it's because like there are things like obviously you're going to miss as a human, right? Like for me, for example, documentation, grammar, and spelling come to mind immediately. Like that's something that is tough to catch. Like sometimes, like Grammarly can only help you for so many things, and your eyes can only catch so many things. And like
Mm-hmm.
like one little mistake, or like, oh, I forgot a comma, I forgot to like fix the spelling, not the biggest deal in the world. But if it's something like, oh, you forgot a console log, like multiple places, it's like, you know in that case, that's something to consider. Like, are you really taking the time before you submitting this PR, or are you just submitting this PR for the sake of just getting it, you know
Yeah.
getting it
Something
in?
that I've started doing was reviewing my own PR before submitting it for review,
Hmm.
because you're gonna catch things. You're gonna catch those console logs, maybe, or whatever that you left in there. And I think it's a good habit just to get into that routine. It's a little harder because you you wrote it, like, so you really have to be granular and take your time with it. But that's
Right.
something where I think, like, the advice of, let's say you're writing a blog, read it out loud and you'll catch those grammatical errors. Whereas if you're reading it in your head, you're like unknowingly skipping through things or whatever because you wrote it, so you think you know it already, right?
Hmm.
But in your head, you're probably like filling in mistakes that might be there just without subconsciously. So
Oh, for
definitely
sure.
do like a code review of your own code, I think, before you submit it.
Hmm.
Chris, I want to jump back up to this. I don't know if he's saying it in jest or not, but what about AI? Are you guys worried? Are you worried about anything with AI, Richard?
No, not really. I'll be honest. Like, I know a lot of people like to talk about AI, and like it's a hot topic in lots of conversations. And like, sure, there are certain jobs I can think of that like potentially could be in risk of being lost because of AI. Like the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that comes to mind is probably journalists. Like, I'm sorry, journalists out there, but like you're probably going to lose your job eventually. Movie critics, like I'm sorry, but like AI bots are probably going to take over your jobs too. But like other than that, I just don't see a world right now where AI is going to take over the majority, if not all jobs, because like it's too expensive to incorporate right now. And like I know there are lots of companies out there that still to this day use legacy code and that still to this day have HTML websites where like if you look at the console, it's literally the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life. You're like, who wrote this? And you're just
Mm-hmm.
like, I could fix this right now and I could get paid for it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think AI there's nothing to worry about because the problem with incorporating AI into your company is that your company has to be open to it, which let's be honest, most people who own a company are probably going to be like, no, we're going to just stick with the tried and true, and we know that it's going to work. B, it's too expensive to incorporate because now all of your developers need to learn the LM and they need to make sure that they're familiar with the LM model because they're the ones who are going to troubleshoot the AI if something goes wrong. And then the third and final thing is that AI still makes mistakes and the AI still hallucinates and like, you know, it's not perfect by any means necessary. And so you need to make sure you have a developer there, which is, let's say, worst case scenario, AI does take over our jobs, right? we're going to be the first people in line for hire because we already are familiar with like, hey, we know how to code, so we know how LLMs work, we know how models work, we know how to pick up things fast in the coding world. Like, hire me.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not worried about it. I think okay, so there's a few things here. I think A is the hype around it for no
Hmm.
good reason. Like, yes, it's incredible what it's doing, and I do use it as a tool. But those people are like, "Oh, it's going to replace your job." It's like, no, that's not going to
No.
happen. Not today, not next year, not 5 years from now.
Hmm.
In my opinion. Then there's the like very uneducated people who are like, shocking new AI discovery, is gonna replace human jobs. First of all, if it was replacing human jobs, majority of human jobs, that would be a win for humanity. That we don't have to spend our time doing the stuff we don't want to be doing, and we could just live a life that we're meant to live and not work at a job 40+ hours a week. Second of all, like you said, or whatever number I'm on, AI makes a lot of mistakes, and every time I go to AI for maybe to help me code, I'm doing a mini code review of it right then and
Yeah.
there. There has been no time that I've done a plug and play of AI code and it's worked. Like I always have to edit something, and part of it is learning how to use it, how to prompt it whatsoever. But yeah, man, like I think the hard part is the companies behind AI trying to push their product right and making
Mm.
it more than what it seems, you know, and the uneducated people behind that are thinking, "Oh my god, it's going to change everything." And again, like I think the goal should be not to be taking job from artists and stuff. The goal
Mm.
should be like getting rid of those mundane tasks that maybe people don't want to be doing or whatever, and allowing them to do maybe those creative things like art. Like
Mhm.
dude, if how many people would be musicians if they made money doing it, right? Or like they could
Right.
afford to do that full time.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
mean, I understand why people are scared because, like, when you think of AI, you instantly think of Matrix, you think of Skype, or like, oh, machines are going to take over the world, yada 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 yada. But like, in reality, we're not even close to that. Like, let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Like, I mean, there's robots out there, sure, that's impressive, but like, really, really, do you really think that robots are going to replace humans? And the answer is probably no. Like, I live in an area, and like, just looking around the local businesses, I cannot imagine them integrating AI into their stuff because I'm like, I know to some extent they are just focusing on survival, let
Mm-hmm.
alone
Mm-hmm.
adding an AI model and then the expenses that are included with that with the tech debt and then also like hiring someone to like be an expert in AI because you have to have someone to build the AI, right? You have to have someone to build that model for specifically for your model, your
Yep.
business model. It's like that's not cheap at all.
No, it's not cheap. It's not easy. And like, I mean, I've even largely ignored learning coding around AI and LLMs and stuff because, well, it doesn't interest me right now. Like my focus is elsewhere.
Mhm.
But B, like, I don't know, man. I think it's gonna continue to evolve and change so much, and I don't know. It's not my thing right now. I'm gonna use the tools for sure. They've been great. I think the way I like to use AI the most is asking it to explain a feature for me or
Mhm.
explain something like to me. So I'll give it a prompt like, "Hey, you are a senior software engineer, blah blah blah. Like, explain this to me like I'm 5 years old."
Mhm.
And then it does it, and I'm like, "Great, now I understand this thing that I maybe wasn't getting before."
Right. For
Yeah.
me, I would say AI is a good rubber duck. Like I use Pieces as my main AI, and
Mm-hmm.
what I found really great about Pieces for me specifically, it's like a great way for me because like I'm usually by myself, so like there's no one to like really talk. And like sure, I could talk to myself out loud, but Pieces is also a great way to give myself a different perspective because what Pieces does is like it generates like those fancy sugary words, and but also gives me a different perspective on how to structure the sentence. And like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. I don't want to copy and paste it, but let me take inspiration from your what it pieces generated and what I generated from myself, and let me find a new mix of like AI slash me and like
Yeah, I've used it before for writing where if I am blanking on how to describe something, I'll ask it to do it and then use that as a a jumping board.
Hmm.
Again, I'm not copy pasting. I'm still making it my own language. Even with Block Recorder, which is amazing. Which, yes, they're sponsoring Gridiron. Yes, I know the guy behind it, but it's genuinely amazing what it does.
Hmm.
For those of you that you don't know, you can ramble into Block Recorder for up to 20 minutes, and it will then process your recording into a blog post with formatting, and then you can export it as Markdown or rich text and post it wherever you want.
Right.
I'm never taking a blog recorder article and just throwing it on my website. I'm not. Like, I'm gonna take it. I'm going to edit it to so that way it sounds like me and everything like that,
Hmm.
and also making sure that it's hitting the points that I want to make. It does a really good job of that, though. Like, I gotta
Hmm.
say, it makes a really good job of picking out the things that you think that you spoke about and you think are important. It's pretty great for that.
Right. I think it's like a great way to like get over writer's block and just like get over that like, oh, it's a blank page, it's intimidating. Just get something on the paper.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, thanks, Chris, for our AI delve. All right, we're rounding out at our hour, but there's a couple of key questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
And one here, ready for it?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. In your own words, what is Gridiron Survivor the app?
Yeah, so Gridiron Survivor is a SaaS application that is geared towards people who want to play football online with teams that we call leagues. And what you basically do is you pick a team per week that you think that is going to win. So, for example, Ravens versus Giants. Let's say they're playing that week, and you're thinking, oh, Ravens is probably going to win. So I select Ravens. You're only able to select one team per entry, but you can have up to 5 entries on that app. And then if your team wins, hey, congratulations, you survived. But if you lose, you are eliminated from that one entry. So just to clarify, if you are eliminated from that one entry, you still have your 4 other entries in that league to continue playing. But if all 5 entries are eliminated, you are officially out and you are eliminated from the game. And that continues until the last person is surviving, thus Football Survivor or the Football Survivor application. And prizes can vary, but for our application specifically, we are offering special prizes from our sponsors. Like, for example, we have Front End Mentor, we have 1 year free pro subscription. We also have a special episode with Jason Torres and Ellie, who for Tech Commute, and we also have a special prize for. I think that's all of them. We
I feel like Blog Recorder mentioned it, and
Oh,
I
blog
think
recorder free
yeah,
pro subscription, and then I
and then we're
think
waiting on others to confirm.
we're waiting for others to confirm. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Mika here, and actually, um, Mike says the same thing yesterday when I was talking to him. I'm a big supporter of the Gridiron Survivor team and everything that we're doing with the app, but I hate football. Yeah, most of us on the team are not sports ball people. I can tell you that right now.
Yep. Same
Shashi
here.
definitely is. Yeah, my sports that I enjoy, including things that go vroom, and that's about it. So,
Me, it's
but I do know
volleyball.
football.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know football because my dad's a huge football fan, and so I grew up watching and everything like that. Actually, it's funny. So I am in a Discord with a bunch of guys. We play Gran Turismo together, which is a racing
Hmm.
simulator for those of you that don't know.
Oh,
And that's my Thursday nights.
nice.
That's what I'll be doing tomorrow. But they're like, come on, let's see what Ryan really knows about football. So they're like, gave me the logos of the teams, and we're like, hey, how many can you name? And I think I missed like 3 to 6.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I'll take that, especially because some of them have changed their names in recent years.
Hmm.
And then they are like, okay, now can you guess the cities they're from? I
Hmm.
missed a little bit more there. I think I got like 65% of those, but
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
I'll
It's
take
more
it.
than
I'll take it.
50%. It's passing grade.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, Mika, if your partner watches them, then definitely just ask them who to pick.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Roxy, if I sign up, can I just let it do things automatically? You cannot. If you do not enter, you don't have a chance at winning. So you
Yeah.
have to make. Actually, let me pull it up for the people since we have it working now.
Yeah.
Yes, we could do this.
Pull it up. Almost not.
um, Gridiron Survivor. Oh shoot! Let me make sure I'm logged out on my phone first, folks. I'm sorry.
No. I'll just look at this chat while we wait. Just ask ChatGPT which teams you should pick. Does ChatGPT? I feel like ChatGPT wouldn't take sides because, like, I think ChatGPT is pretty unopinionated. Is it? I don't
I
know.
think you could probably like prompt it with exactly what you're looking for.
Maybe.
All right. Can you see my
Yes, I
Gridiron
can see
Survivor?
your screen.
Okay. Oh, and I guess I should adjust restream as well. Oh no, perfect. You got us. All right. So this is a Gridiron Survivor, and you can sign up. There's a register page here. Once you sign up successfully, it will just redirect you to the all leagues page. But I'll sign in here.
And the design was made by Jaina. Shout out to Jaina.
Yes. Shout out to Jaina. All right, so let's say you log in for the first time, you will not see these up here. Instead, all you'll see is this drop down for selecting a league to join. And here you can see that there are several leagues that I don't belong to that I could if I wanted to. So let's say I'm going to join Shashi's house, and then you hit join league, and bam, I've been added to Shashi's house, and you can see it here. So now let's jump in, and I want to make a new entry. So every player gets up to 5 entries. You want to use all 5 because that gives you the optimal chance of winning and moving on week to week. However, if you don't use one, you don't lose it. So you take that for what you will. But we're going to come in. So right now we have 18 survivors out of 18 participants, meaning no one has lost yet. And we're on week 2. This is not yet implemented. This will just keep you here. But this is going to show you your previous week's picks. But so I'm going to add an entry. I'm going to add all 5 real quick. Okay. And so we can see they're numbered. And right now these have a status of alive. If I lose, for example, it will be eliminated and red. But so we're going to come over here and make a pick. And then here we have our week 2 pick. This is already getting more updates that we're trying to push out. By the way, we're iterating this pretty rapidly week to week now, which is pretty fun. But we're taking user feedback as well as adding the features that we've been wanting to add. But all the functionality is here. So right now I can see that Thursday at 8:15. This is local time, by the way. So this is Eastern Standard Time for me. The Dolphins are the Bills. Being a New Yorker, I'm gonna vote for the Bills. Okay, and that's my pick for this entry. If I wanted to change it for this entry, I could, but I'll show you first. We go back, and we can see that that entry has been picked, and the team logo is here. If I wanted to come back in here, I could say, okay, I'm going to choose the Titans, because I don't trust the Jets. Okay, cool. I've picked the Titans for my team. I can come back, and we can see that that logo has been updated. So then I can come through here, and let's say, well, you know what? This game could go either way. And for my second entry, I could pick the Jets. Notice this is completely separate from the first one. This is its own instance. So, for example, in Shashi's House League, in entry number 1, I will not be able to pick the Titans for entry number 1 for the rest of the season. But let's say entry 3 moves on for the following week, I will be able to choose them. So then you could just come through here and make all your choices. And it's automatically submitted once you make a selection here. So once you get that toast, you're good to go. We are going to be enhancing this UX a little bit, so that way when you make a selection, it will automatically redirect you back here. You don't have to press back every time. That's coming, I think, this week, so you could be on the lookout for that. But if you want a chance to win those prizes from our sponsors, you do have to be part of the Gridiron Survivor League. I think we still have it set up that I don't know that it automatically adds people, but it'll be on the list to join when you log in. So as you can see there, I already made my picks for this week. I'm actually going to change this. I made this as a joke to Shashi. I'm not picking the Browns. I'm sorry. I'll figure out how I want to change this too. There will be a lock-in period. So actually here, if I come back in here, you can see that the first game is Thursday with Thursday Night Football at 8:15. Typically, the lock-in is going to be you have to have your picks made by 8 p.m. EST. then you cannot do it. You cannot make any further picks. So that'll be fun, and that is the same way with regular fantasy football. And I wanted to come in here and show you an example of a disabled team here. Perfect. So last week in entry number 1 in this league, so I'm in Ames Degens for degenerates. This is my racing friends. So I'm in my week 2 pick, and you can see that 49ers. First of all, I can't click. It's got the disabled, and if I zoom in, I'm gonna come up with a design to make this more obvious. But you can see that it's shaded over. So this is disabled, meaning I picked the 49ers last week and they won. So this entry moves on, but I cannot pick the 49ers again. So that doesn't mean I have to pick the Vikings in this case. It just means that for the rest of the season, for this entry, I cannot pick the 49ers. So, yeah. And that's everything we have right now. We're working on... I'll show you a little sneak peek as well, which I think I showed off in one of our things, but we have an admin panel. So you can't get into this right now. You cannot, if you want your own league, you can create. You'll just have to ask one of us to create it for you. And Shashi, Chris, or Alex have the ability to. They create on the back end, and then it'll show up in that drop down. For now, though, that's how you have to do it. But in the future, you'll be able to make your own. Then you'll be an admin, and you'll be able to come here and see the different leagues you manage. You'll be able to see the different players in those leagues, and you'll be able to send them email notifications as well, which is cool. And so you'll be able to choose from all players, all survivors, just the losers whatsoever. And then you'll have, this will be a quick select as well for your different leagues. So just up and coming. This is obviously a work in progress. The whole app is a work in progress. But yeah, it's been fun.
Woo! Chris Daywalker says, "Degens?" Question mark.
Degens is degenerates because we are degen. So there's like people here like don't know the other side of me. Like not that I'm definitely not disingenuous in anything that you've seen me do. But I was a pretty sweaty gamer for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. Wally knows it. Alex saw a little bit of it since we've been playing World of Warcraft together. Let's see. What did I miss out on the chat here? Yeah, Mika, definitely make your husband use the app. That's a good idea. Hey, Mai joined the chat. Welcome from Twitter. Let's see, what else did I miss? Lincoln told me it's Gina's birthday. Happy birthday, Gina.
Happy
To our
birthday.
designer. Poor timing, got there. Oh, wow. Rip. I wish I saw this before. What a good time to add.
I know, right? I didn't want to stop you. You were on a roll. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let him go. I just keep on rolling.
That's all right. That's all right. Oh, Dan Walker, we know what degens are. Yeah, so I guess I'll go into that real quick. I've played World of Warcraft since on and off since 2005? 2006, late 2006. And so Wally and I got pretty into it 2015-ish. And yeah, so that was my thing, and then I stopped playing because I was getting into coding. So I stopped taking video games nearly as seriously as I was. But it was great. Like, I mean, back in the day between that, when Halo 3 was a thing, like I got asked to be on a competition team, and I was just like, I can't invest this time. Yeah, which was fun, but like being a musician, that was my thing. Like I couldn't devote time to music and that, so I chose music. So music was always my thing. And then for a short time where music wasn't my thing, like video games took over, and then coding took over from there. So
honestly, like for me, video games, I'm not the biggest fan anymore. I used to be, but like, I wasn't really like a big gamer. I was more of like a casual, like play Pokemon. Honestly, it was mostly Pokemon games and like a couple Nintendo games, and like I like a sprinkle of PlayStation games here.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy them all. I still do. Like, dude, if I had more time, forget about it, you know, like, but instead I spend the time coding, you know. I think obviously that's more important for now. And not to say that I won't code on the side when I get a full-time job, but it'll be nice just to take a breather for a little bit, especially as I know that my first 3 to 6 months at a new job is going to be a lot, you know. Yeah, so that'll be a good time.
Yeah, no,
Okay, Roxy says I joined and I think I picked 5 teams and I think I'm done. Yep, cool. Hey, if you just want to do the one league and call it a day, great. Um, Best of luck.
yep. Good luck, Roxy.
Yeah. Supposedly the Jets are in not too bad shape, but I never trust New York teams.
Oh, like funny
Yeah.
story. I actually didn't know what the teams were. Like when I heard the team names, I'm like, oh, is that something? Like, okay. So for example, someone was talking about Yankees. I'm like, oh, is that football? And they're like, Richard. I'm just like, what?
Oh my god. See, it's funny. Like would be I feel like ridiculed if I didn't know that. Forget about it. I mean, not to mention my dad was into sports. My sister
Yeah.
was definitely more into sports than my brother and I. I played some regular fantasy leagues, but just because of peer pressure. Actually, fun fact. So there's a really good show called The League. It's a little bit older now, but it is about a group of friends that play fantasy football together, and it's outrageous. Like, it definitely hasn't aged well, but like in its time, it was funny. I'm
Mm.
trying to let's look at when it came up so people have some reference.
I know, Roxy. I honestly like. I'm still bad with like football teams or like sport teams in general or like celebrity names. Oh, forget about it. I'm so bad with those too.
Yeah, I'm terrible with celebrities. So the show The League started in 2009, just so you can
Whoa.
like put yourself in that mindset, like where comedy was at that point and everything. Again, definitely didn't age well.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious. But so something that they did was in regular football, you have like the loser, the person who does the worst. I forget what they called them, but they would have to then go do like the commissioner, the person in charge of the league, would come up with some punishment for the loser to go
Hmm.
do. And some places like said, "Oh, you had to go spend 24 hours at a Waffle House, but for every waffle you eat, it decreases the time by 5 minutes or whatever, something like that."
Hmm.
Yeah. And so my commissioner, who is also my best friend, said, "You have to get a tutu and this T-shirt and go stand on a street corner for I forget what it was 5 or 15 minutes."
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah, like
That's
the
wild.
Sacco. Yes, the Sacco. Thank you. And yeah, it was something.
Wow, that's interesting. That's
Yeah, I
fascinating.
mean, not everyone does that, and of course, it
Mm.
was the one season that he like withdrew on it. I'm like, come on. Yeah, Chris says the league started Mark Duplass. The guy who lied about being in 9/11 and ruined his career. Yep. And then Polish Nick Kroll. Nick Kroll is one of my favorite actors and
Mm.
comedians, hands down. But yeah, so between the comedy not aging well and then that one actor lying about being in 9/11, it just yeah, it's unfortunate. But it was a really
Mm.
funny show. So take it for what it was. That's my thing.
Yeah.
What else did I want to ask you? We've been all over the place tonight, and it's been
I know,
fun.
right? I'm having so much fun right now. Like I feel
Yeah,
like I could go for 2 more hours, honestly.
yeah, for sure. Oh, thank you, Mike Chen, for the sub. By the way, just had to put that out there for the people. Okay, one last thing for you.
Hmm.
I guess two things.
Yeah.
One is, what are your near and long term goals?
My near my near goals is I want to finish learning Aerith's theme from Final Fantasy VII on piano. I want to be able to do a handstand. Kudos to Roxy for inspiring me that. I want to start working and finish a real drawing of a real object, or I'm thinking of an animal, probably a cat. I'm gonna try challenging myself because I've been drawing mostly only anime or cartoon. And then I also I want to succeed in my interviews with Propel Auth, and I want to get a job in Propel Auth. So those are my near goals. Long-term goals, I would say I would want to. Hmm, I hope that I'm a better developer than I am right now, and I hope that I am a better drawer and artist. I hope I at least learn 3 piano songs. I'm gonna be ambitious here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back into K-pop dancing. I did it a little bit, and I learned like the chorus of a song. But I want to be over ambitious. I want to learn the entire song, so from start to
Nice.
finish, the entire
Nice.
song. And then another long-term goal is I want to create my own animation using my electronic pen. Like I know how to do it, like the digital drawing, but I've never tried doing an animation. So I want to at least give that a shot. And then, ooh, I've always wanted to run a marathon. I want to give that a shot. I'm gonna fail miserably,
Dude.
but I want to try it. And like, there's honestly so many more, but I'll stop there.
I only did a 5K once before, and that was when I was about 100 pounds light. No, yeah, 100 pounds lighter than I am now. So that won't be doing that again.
Hmm.
But that's sick. You have a lot of good goals that aren't tech related, and I love that. Aerith's theme is hands down one of my favorite things. I'm gonna DM you with this link that I just sent in chat. Because we're talking about, you mentioned Aerith's theme, and now we're all talking about Final Fantasy music. This is a heavy string, but like it's a like string and orchestral, I should say, covers from Square Enix on FF7 music, and it's amazing.
Oh,
It's
thank you for the link. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. I like, dude. It was my most listened to thing on Spotify last year.
Mm.
Like, I kid you not. It's great. Um, so with developing in mind, are there any other projects or technologies you're excited to explore?
Ooh, there's so many, honestly. So, C sharp. Kudos to Ellie for introducing me. And honestly, I forget their name, but there was a username in a pieces stream that was like nudging me more towards C sharp, and I'm definitely interested in learning it.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely need to learn more about playwright and just testing in general. I feel like that's definitely my weakest point because like when I left Great Iron Survivor, I think we were just like focusing on testing, and like at that time we were more focused on getting the MVP out. And so when I left, I didn't really get a lot of time to work on testing, and that's definitely a weak point of mine, and that's something I want to work on. And then I want to learn more about pieces. I just haven't had the time to
Mm.
really dive deep into the nitty gritty of pieces, so I definitely want to do that. And then, ooh, I'm interested in Go, and then I'm
Yep.
a little interested in Rust because of Francesco. So we'll see where it goes from there.
Dude, that's a lot. I know the feeling though. It's
Yeah.
tough to like pick and choose, right? Because everything sounds so appealing for different reasons, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's tough, but make the time for it. You know, get there. I think it's funny you mentioned testing because it's the kind of thing that I feel like I want to do a deep dive on almost and really get into the nitty gritty of and get really good at it.
Hmm.
But I think part of that desire is just so that I never struggle with it again.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
most of my experience lately doing it hasn't been so much of a struggle because I'm not learning it and doing it at the same time. Now
Hmm.
it's just like I know basically what I need to do and I'm familiar with the syntax. It's getting it just right though, you know?
Right. Right. I've been actually
Yeah.
in close contact with Stephen QA from I don't know how to pronounce his last name from that conference, and he's actually a QA engineer, and he's very familiar with testing, and like
Nice.
so I'm trying to see like what I can learn from him because he's um yeah, I'm just interested to learn more about it.
Yeah, dude. Same here. Awesome. 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 Well, have you got anything else for the people before we end it for the night? Because
I
we
think there
went
was a
way over.
question from yeah, I think there was a question from Walter before. I don't know. It was like a anime question. I missed that.
Ooh, maybe because Wally is a big. Oh, here we go. Top three anime.
Okay, easy. Frieren, Social no Frieren, Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Mob Psycho.
Wally, you get those? So Wally had been begging me for years to get into anime, and not that I didn't want to, but I have very limited time to watch things, and
Mm.
my wife just like absolutely would not do it. We got into oh my god, why am I blanking on what it is? Attack on Titan.
Hmm.
and was really enjoying it. And then like at the highest point of season 1, she's like, "No, I don't want to watch this anymore." I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" But so in the last few months, 6 months, I've been starting to watch it some more, and it's been really enjoyable. I can't name anything off the top of my head oh, Your Name was phenomenal.
Hmm.
Actually, please hold. I'm gonna pull up my app. There's a beautiful app on iOS called Sequel, and it's just made for tracking like games or TV shows or whatever you want to watch
Hmm.
or read. You could use it for books as well.
Yeah, I needed to watch more American TV shows because I grew up watching only Korean shows, and so like, okay, so this is gonna be a bit of a confession, also exposing myself, but I've never watched The Office, I've never watched Parks and Rec, I've never watched Game of Thrones, I've never watched How I Met Your Mother, I've never watched Walking Dead, I've never watched, I don't know, name a really popular American TV show. I probably not haven't watched it.
Okay. I'm okay. Hold on. Before we move on from there, my ex-wife basically strapped me to a chair when we first started dating and forced me to watch The Office. So I'm very much fine. You don't have to watch it. Don't listen to Roxy. It's fine. Parks and Rec was better than that. Brooklyn Nine-Nine was better than that, in my opinion. Game of Thrones was good until the last season and a half.
Mm.
And what was another one that you mentioned? Walking Dead, I watched 1.5 seasons of, and I was like, "This is the same goddamn thing. I'm not watching it again." So you're not missing much.
Oh, to answer Daywalker's question, or Chris Daywalker's question, I've only watched Friends. Yeah, so.
I've watched Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Friends.
That is it. There is no more to that list.
Oh, I found my anime list. Okay, so MF Ghost, which is like a spiritual successor to Initial D.
Okay.
Initial D, I watched some of, not all, because it's very long. Overtake is a new racing one. Erased was hands down one of my favorite anime, favorite things I've watched ever.
Hmm.
I binge watched it in a day. I was like, this is amazing.
It's good.
Yeah. And then there's a couple movies I think we watched. Like we said, Your Name was really good. Um, I don't know, dude. Like Studio Ghibli, just in general, like the art behind it and the music behind any of their animes.
Bro, we could go on a 20-minute conversation about Ghibli. I love their art. They're so cute. Plushies and everything.
Yeah, it is adorable. You and Wally should have a good conversation about that.
Hmm.
Yo, Mike, thank you for hanging out. We'll jump back to Roxy in a second. My favorite part was when Rich was like, "Here are the shows I haven't watched."
Take care, Mike. Thanks for coming.
Hey, Mike, thanks for the sub.
He also came out there.
Roxy, say I heard you say wife and ex-wife. How many lives have I lived? Yeah, okay. So Roxy, like I said at the start of the stream, I am going to be 33. I got married October of 2021, and then last December, I found out my wife was cheating on me. So that then prompted a divorce. So when I was at that conference for the first time, it was at the perfect time. It was about a month and a half after I found out about it, and it was the most cathartic thing that I ever could have had because not only did I ever feel like I felt like I had a community behind me for the first time since I left the music world, but it was just like such a good thing for me. So
Mm.
I appreciate it. The kind words. It sucks, but that's why I'm like living in the same house with my parents now. That's why my brother is literally like not behind this wall, but an additional 8 feet away. Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is.
It is what it
Making
is.
the
But
best
I'm,
of
I'm
it.
glad you're in a better place, though.
Thanks, man. Hey, we're doing it, and silver linings. If I was still with her, I wouldn't be putting as much time as I am into community building and web development. So
Yeah, that's true.
you know. So yeah. Did we miss? Okay, so you talked about your TVs. Then I jumped ship on that because I had to tell you you're not missing that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daywalker, things worked out for the best, except you missed the wallpaper. So the wallpaper was in the house where I was living with her.
I mean, Roxy, you can make the heartbeat joke. I know that one. The Stay in love. I know that one.
You can make jokes around me. It's fine. Yeah, that's not true. The show itself is triggering for me. You know what my problem was with The Office was it was so cringeworthy. Like
Mm,
I couldn't keep watching it. There were some funny parts though, like genuinely.
mm,
I think it's much better when I wasn't strapped to a seat forced to watch it.
mm.
And then Roxy, you mentioned Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I'm a huge fan of. Did anyone in here watch? Oh, why am I blanking on the show name? Because I absolutely loved it. It's fudge. It's the one where they can't curse because they're in the afterlife and they're made to think that they're in the good place. Oh, the good place is the name of the show. Oh, Schitt's Creek was another amazing show. That's a show you should watch, Richard. Schitt's Creek is amazing.
Honestly, my list keeps growing and growing in terms of things
Yep,
I need to learn. I'm just like,
same, same. But yeah, the good place is marvelous. Yeah,
mm.
loved it. But all right, let's cut this off before we keep going because we could keep going.
We could keep going. We could honestly keep going.
Yeah. Anything else for the people, Rich?
Thank you so much for everyone for coming. Uh, it was so great to talk to Ryan and just be here and chat with you guys in the chat. It was so much fun. Like, honestly, time flew by so fast. I don't even think we got to half the questions. I think we only talked about like 4 questions we planned on talking about.
Yep. That's how these go sometimes.
Yeah, it just like it was literally just that fun. We were just like, okay, we have a plan, and then it just ended up just going off different directions. I don't even remember half the conversations we talked about because it's like it was literally that fun.
Well, good thing this will be up on YouTube, and
Yeah,
and people can always go back and watch it. Hey, seriously, they're like those of you that are always here. I appreciate it. Like you all are sick. Any of the newcomers here, much appreciated. Look, Maria, I'm sorry again if I'm mispronouncing it. Still in the chat. Thank you for hanging out. We didn't cover it. It wasn't strictly tech. I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And seriously, thank you everyone for joining in. Until next time.
until next time.